Before we get into the agenda, I am going to be issuing a proclamation that recognizes the ALS disease, better known as Lou Gehrig's disease. And whereas amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, is a progressive and fatal neurodegenerative disease that gradually robs the individual of the ability to walk, talk, eat, and breathe. And whereas thousands of new ALS cases are diagnosed each year, with someone diagnosed and someone lost to the disease approximately every 90 minutes. And whereas most people diagnosed with ALS survive only 2 to 5 years after diagnosis, and there is currently no known cure. And whereas military veterans are at a greater risk of developing and dying from ALS. Organizations such as ALS Association continue to advance research and support efforts to improve quality of life and pursue a cure. And whereas ALS Awareness Month serves to raise public awareness, honor those affected by the disease, and encourage support for research and advocacy efforts. Now, therefore, I, Mark A. Loretti, Mayor of the City of Shelton, do hereby proclaim the month of May as ALS Awareness Month in Shelton, and call upon all Americans to support ALS research, advocate for increased funding, and stand in solidarity with those affected by this devastating disease. Thank you. Okay, this takes us to item number 1, the adoption of the budget for fiscal year 26-27.
Move to approve the following resolution. Be it resolved by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Shelton, in accordance with Section 7.6 of the Charter, that the budget documents submitted by the Mayor on March 19th, 2026 be amended, and such budget as amended be adopted as the official budget and mill rate for the City of Shelton for fiscal year 2026-27. I will read the adjustments. The revenues first. Current levy, $122,951,278. Increase $736,694. Board of Aldermen, $123,697,972. The education cost sharing, Mayor, $8,905,756. The increase of $356,230. The Board of Aldermen, $9,261,986. The Mashantucket Pequot Fund, an increase of $135,076. And for the Alderman, same number, $135,076. For the expenditure side, the Board of Education, Mayor, $80,809,827. An increase of $2,100,000. The Board of Aldermen number is $2,909,827.
It's 82 million.
82,909,827. Group insurance, $5,500,000. Decrease of $250,000 for a total of $5,250,000. Long-term debt, Mayor, $3,019,640, a decrease of
I understand, I hear him.
$840.
John, you have to correct that number. It's a decrease of 562,000.
Decrease of 562,840. Gotta get a bigger magnifying glass.
2 eyes would help.
I'm trying.
2 eyes are better than 1.
I'm not giving up this. I'm gonna go through with it. For a total of $2,454,800.
$456,800.
$2,456,800.
Yeah.
Long-term debt interest, mayor, $280,722. A decrease of $92,689 for a total of $188,033. The school bus payments, mayor, $600,000, decrease of $72,000, total of $528,000. I don't know where the 5 just disappeared. Fire truck repayments, an increase of $434,667. For a total of $434,667. Mohegan School roof payments, $220,862. For a total of $220,862. Bus parts and repair, $500,000 for the mayor, a decrease of $100,000 for $400,000 total. Board of Ed special regional school, mayor, $300,000, a decrease of $275,000, so a total of $25,000. Contingency general, mayor, $300,000, decrease of $175,000, for a total of $125,000. Total mayor, $2,799,755. $529, a decrease of $1,527,529. Board of Aldermen, $92,538,189. The total other revenue is $24,068,001. Total expenditures, $147,765,973. The current levy mill rate is $123,697,972 for a mill rate of 15.51 mils. So moved.
Second. Motion is made and seconded. Discussion.
Resulting in the total budget of $147,765,973 for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026. The mill rate shall be established at 15.51 mils with a collection date for fiscal year 2026-27 to be July 1st, 26 and January 1, 27 for real estate, July 1, 26 for personal property taxes less than $5,000 in July 1, 2026, and July 1, 2027 for personal property taxes equal to or greater than $5,000 in July 1, 2026, for the motor vehicle tax, with the exception of those that carry their own collection date as determined by state statute under motor vehicle supplement. Any tax under $5 will be waived. Also be it resolved that the Board of Aldermen accepts in principle the capital improvements program as submitted. So moved.
Second. Motion is made and seconded. There is one correction to be made where he says the resulting total budget of 147,000 should be 147 million. Okay, all right, discussion.
This budget season was not without its trying times for everyone. We hope we have learned from it and can share with you some dialogue to improve the process going forward. I will be direct and hope not to offend anyone as I make reference to specific situations. The original Board of Education budget request, asking for over $10 million in new money, more than a 12% increase, was an ill-thought-out wish list. It raised serious concerns among the budget-making authority, especially the mayor, who responded with a no increase Board of Alderman budget, Board of Education budget. Later, we were informed that the Board of Education had made a mistake. When asked for a revised budget, Fiscal Authority, Board of Ed, was given information which caused more confusion. With so many people involved and in watching the budget-making process, this confusion did not help. The unfortunate mistake misled everyone, but despite this mistake, there still were those who echoed fully fund education. In all fairness to everyone concerned, both the Board of Education and the mayor had to recommend a budget without knowing what the state share would be. This year, we had hoped for a greater share since we learned through the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities that since 2013, the state had received some $900 million in federal funding intended to be used for local school districts to cope with inflation costs, was instead used by the state for other purposes. Not one penny of that money was used to assist local school districts to cope with inflation costs as intended. And when the 2026 legislative session was completed, we learned that the state would limit special education excess cost funding to 68% of the overage that we spent, thereby passing on another unfunded mandate to municipalities. Special education cannot be accurately budgeted because you never know how many special education students will enroll in your district and what their needs may be or how much that will cost. That's why the state passed the special education law to begin with. Now the state has arbitrarily changed the rules and stuck us with another $1.3 million annual bill. Is that fair? That's why we object. That's why we're opposed to this. It was done arbitrarily by those who want to balance the state budget at the expense of municipal taxpayers who have no say in the process. The budget we are adopting tonight is a fair funding response to our total community needs, total community. It provides a $2.1 million spending increase over last year for education and addresses the needs of senior citizens who are struggling to stay in their homes, deal with the property revaluation increases and other economic affordability costs. They cannot afford to pay more in taxes. The mill rate goes from 18.62 to 15.51. This mill rate reduction should help everyone meet their needs next year. We are committed to a city Board of Education quarterly budget review process led by City Treasurer Ray O'Leary, who is a past Board of Education Chairman and bank examiner. We have had discussions with the superintendent and mayor about this and applaud their support. We expect to promote a better understanding of the Board of Education budget and reduce the trauma associated with the annual budget setting process. I swear I had another page, but that's all right.
No, this is all, you have 3 pages, that's what you have.
Well, somewhere I left a page that said I want to thank everybody who participated in the budget process this year. And I want you to know that your participation did make a difference. Your comments were noted, they were recycled, they were repeated many times in many ways. You made a difference, and I thank you, all of you. Thank you for coming.
Okay, is there anybody else? Mike?
Yep. I'd like to echo some of Mr. Angus' comments. Just so you guys know, this was a tough budget season. You guys came out, made your opinions heard. We have all talked consistently. We worked really hard to come to a consensus with the budget. And if you guys know the city charter, what's in front of you today, depending on how procedural it goes, it could default back. Right. So if you guys know how this works, in order to approve a budget, we need 5 of us to approve something, then a mayor can veto it, and then 6 of us have to approve it. So I just want you guys to understand that and how this could work out. So there's a proposal from the Board of Education or from us for the Board of Education to increase by 2.1 million. If 5 of us vote for that or don't vote for that, if we do vote for it, the mayor can veto it, and then we need 6 of us to vote for it. And if we don't, then it defaults back to the mayor's budget, which would be a 0 increase. So I just wanted to make sure you guys understand when we do vote, what could potentially happen. But I would like to commend our aldermen. We did work together. We tried to come up with the best possible budget, and we did have some other discussions.
One more thing I want to say.
All right, go ahead.
I want you all to know that we did get the attention of the powers to be in the legislature. The governor has already appointed a we call this thing the Commission on K-12 Education Funding Accountability, and set the dates so that before the legislature, the Connecticut legislature, gets back together next year, they will have their report. They're going to look at especially, they cited here, special look at special education. And I hope they clearly define what ECS means, because there's 2 meanings to the acronym ECS, and it's hard to tell the difference apart. But they're going to reaching out to people beyond our borders and going to make a comparison with other states, which is good because other states allow a whole different, it's a whole different law that controls special education and its funding. And I'm not promoting one way or the other for special ed, but I'm just saying that we can't do it locally. You can't budget locally, and that's what the original intent of the law was, to keep the municipalities whole by not putting us in a big hole deficit position every year. So thank God they've moved on that already, and we'll keep abreast of it.
Yeah, Mr. Angus, also just to add to that, so I think you are aware of this, but it's not just a state issue, it's also a federal issue. The federal government hasn't fully funded IDA Act, so Individuals with Disability Education Act, which was passed in 1975. On average, they've funded about 13%. So it's not just a state issue, it's also not being federally funded. So it's just a trickle down.
You know, that fact, it's always been that way. That's not new. What has changed is most of the state mandates. You know, burden of proof is one that is very damaging to local municipalities. And if you don't know what burden of proof is, it falls on the back of the school system to be able to prove that someone doesn't need services. It's not like that in many other states around the country. So there's a lot of factors that weigh into this thing. You know, as you know, I've been at this for a number of years. And I want to tell you something, this was not a tough budget for me. Maybe emotionally it was for some other people, but when you start out asking for over $9 million, you know what, I think you have some explaining to do. So we started 0. And I'm not sure that there were any appropriate explanations that were given. I didn't hear anything. I did listen to some of the budget meetings, and you know, it was void of just a lot of facts that should have been presented. And when the superintendent of schools puts out a public comment about fact and myth about things that I said at the at my budget presentation that pertains to school spending, I have to tell him, and I know he's here tonight, that those are his numbers. We keep a running total of statistics for the last 25 years. Everything that we use, it came from the Board of Education budget books. It came from the state of Connecticut, which they have to report to these facts and figures. So I'm not sure where the myth starts. If it was a myth, then I just transferred the myth publicly. So I didn't make that up or pull that stuff out of the air. To me, those are very concerning facts. When you have enrollment, when I got elected, we had 6,600 kids in the school system. There's 4,400 today. We have the same school building footprint. That's a big expense. If we're worried about kids, our money should be focused on what goes on in the classroom. I can go on and on and on about a lot of things. So, again, for me, I think I probably bring more to the table than just about anybody in this community, only because I've been at it so long and I understand it. I understand how superintendents of schools over the years have managed money and how we're not managing today. We were asked to fund a special ed facility to cut some of the costs. Did you get any answers on that? How that's working out in year 3? I don't think so. We stepped up big time with school transportation. We wound up in court 5-6 years ago because the Board of Ed didn't want us to take it over. They wanted to pay $1.5 million of new money every year in that contract after we bought the buses. It made no sense. Have we not stabilized transportation costs? I mean, those are the things that are important. All that extra funding should be going to the classroom. So again, I'm not going to belabor the point, but we have to take a hard look at some of these things. We're at that point, and it's all enrollment driven. Does anybody else have anything else to say regarding the budget? All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries. All right, item number 2 is the purchase of buses for the Shelton Student Transportation Services.
Move to approve the purchase of up to 15 buses for the Shelton Student Transportation Services.
Second.
A motion is made and seconded. I asked for this motion to read this way because I'm not sure the number that we're going to get. It takes months. Once you place an order, it takes months for these things to be constructed and come in. There is funding in the budget that is set aside for up to 15 buses. And I'll keep the board apprised once I talk with our transportation supervisors down at Riverdale Avenue to see what we actually want to go out for. But I think the approach here has got to be to phase in the purchase of new buses. I think we're in year 12 or 13. I'm not sure what it is when we bought the buses. And so, we're at that point. We spent a lot of money on maintenance. We're going to continue to do that because we have to, but it's probably time to start getting buses. And for the benefit of everybody in the audience, 2 years ago, we bought 8 new buses back then. And, that's helped out with our transportation maintenance costs. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Facts are not what you need.
Well, what we're actually going to purchase, but again, the money's in the budget, so it'll just be for information purposes. Okay, item number 3 is May statutory refunds.
Move that the reported tax collected relative to the refund of taxes for a total amount of $3,291.82 be approved, and that the finance director be directed to make payments in accordance with the certified list received from the tax collector with funds to come from statutory refunds account. So moved.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Item number 4 is the adoption of the tax collector suspense list.
Move that the tax collector suspense list in the amount of $279,664.36 be adopted and transferred from the grand list into suspense for state statute section 12-1 165. So moved.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5 is the funding for road repairs. Item 5.1 and 5.2. 5.1 is Quorum Road. And 5.2 is Isinglass Road.
5.1, Quorum Road, Grove Street to Nean Street. Move to add road repairs on Quorum Road from Grove Street to Nean Street, 17,770 square yards to the capital improvement plan in an amount of $435,000 with funding to come from LoSiP.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. You want to put 5.2 on the floor too?
Vote on this one.
All right, Kelly, did we get this squared away with OPM of the eligibility for LoSiP money? Fran? Do you know? We haven't?
Teresa's here.
No?
Yeah. I thought you guys were talking to them. So I
Okay,
don't know if it's squared away.
all right, so then this, look, the roads are paved with the understanding that this was gonna be LoSiP eligible. You know, we're told that it might not be, so it may be back here before you next month for a different appropriation. I'm not sure.
Let's approve it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You have to come back.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
5.2, Isinglass Road, Route 108 to Waverly Road. Move to add road repairs on Isinglass Road from Route 108 to Waverly Road, 19,340 square yards to the capital improvement plan in an amount of $475,000 with funding to come from LoSiP.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion?
Same conditions.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 6 is the funding for the installation of a concrete floor coating at Huntington Firehouse.
Move to appropriate the amount of $45,000 for the purchase and installation of epoxy for the floors of the Huntington Firehouse garage bays with funding to come from bonding pursuant to section 7.16 of the city charter.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion?
Discussion. My understanding of epoxy is that it wears out, so you're gonna expect to get wear out spots on the floor. Have they looked into this? Make them aware of it before they.
No, they know that. We've been going through this for years with the firehouse floors, and this isn't the first time we've done this. So, you know, I don't know, rather than, you know, resurface the entire floor, the entire concrete floor with some type of a grid, you know, this is the quickest and cheapest way to go. And then the other thing you gotta deal with is, if you're gonna do that, that'll take months. What do you do with all the equipment that's sitting in the garage? So it's not so simple.
Well, I'm not opposed to it. I'm just saying, make them aware of it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 7 is funding for the new bathroom petitions at the senior center's men's bathroom.
Move to appropriate an amount of $3,420 for the purchase of new bathroom partitions for the men's bathroom at the senior center with funding to come from bonding pursuant to section 7.16 of the city charter.
Second.
So moved.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion?
Resting out.
Well, they're 30 years old.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Actually, 35. Are there any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 8 is the paving of Quorum Avenue Bridge Deck waiver of bids.
Move for the recommendation of finance director to waive the bidding process for the paving of the Quorum Avenue Bridge deck.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion? You know, there's no funding necessary here because the funding's already in place. All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9 is the Community Development Block Grant Award.
Move to approve the following resolution, whereas the city of Shelton has been awarded the U.S. HUD fiscal year 2025 Community Development Block Grant in the amount of $181,856. And whereas the city of Shelton accepted this grant at the June 23, 2005 Board of Aldermen regular meeting. And whereas the city of Shelton agreed to fund the upcoming activities, including public service, public facilities, and administration fees. Now therefore, the Board of Aldermen moved to appropriate an amount of $181,656 with funding to come from the general fund surplus to be reimbursed to the city of Shelton by the U.S. HUD.
Second, with the understanding that, the first time you read the number, you said 181.8, it's 181,656.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion? Pretty basic. We do this every year. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 10 is the reallocation of the DEEP grant.
Move to authorize the reallocation of the $150,000 in Connecticut Department of Energy Environmental Protection DEEP grant funds originally approved at the August 8, 2024 regular meeting for the Shelton High School football field scoreboard to be redirected and applied toward the installation of the new multi-purpose turf field project. So moved.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Discussion. So the intention here is to get the field at the soccer field at the high school underway with the turf, or we're going to lose that grant. That was a priority right now. We're looking at other funding for the scoreboard, which is I got to say that Jason Neves, who sits on the Board of Education, is working pretty hard to make that happen. As he and Bernie Simons work with the get this field renovation in motion as well. So with that, yeah, I don't. Anybody have any questions?
They're working right now on making sure that we have the infrastructure, the electrical for field lights in the future, and also make sure we have the power to have a small building there to keep maintenance equipment, etc. there also.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session and ask that corporation counsels and administrative assistants also be part of the executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, so the auditor